everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing 4 Jo Malone created fragrances for Zara. Now these have recently re-released on the Zara website because they are actually not new fragrances. They are fragrances from several previous releases when Zara already collaborated with Jo Malone in the past, and ever since there have been a few more new Jo Malone collaborations, but now they re-released these 4 and I was super excited because I always love the Jo Malone created fragrances for Zara because I mean it's Jo Malone, she's a great perfumer. It's not like a typical Zara fragrance. They are very rarely dupes of anything. So yeah, was super excited. I ordered them. My order took a little while to arrive, but they have arrived. I have tested them all, and if you want to hear my thoughts on these fragrances, then keep on watching. By the way, my skin filter blur thing is on high today because I have a cold sore. Thank you, pregnancy hormones. And that is also why the review took a bit longer for me to record, because it was massive and that's not how I want to appear on YouTube. There's still some remnants, but I think it's okay now. So just letting you know, that is why the skin blur is so strong today. So yeah, the fragrances that we're going to talk about today are called Rose Petal Drops, Amber and Fig Tree Cashmere, Salty Ocean Air, and White Flower Posy. They come in bottles of 100 ml of eau de parfum, and they retail for roughly 30 euros in Europe, roughly 50 US dollars, and roughly 58 Canadian dollars. Now all of these fragrances sort of have the same vibe, let's say. So I can already tell you that, and this is very typical Jo Malone, these are not sweet fragrances. There are no gourmands. They don't have a lot of sweetness in them. Sometimes there's a little bit of vanilla, but not a lot. They don't smell like designer fragrances. They are often very sort of clean, less is more, classic chic type of fragrances. And I feel like that's the case in all 4 of these. So that's actually what I like about Jo Malone fragrances. They have a certain, whether you like, I mean, I'm not saying that I like all Jo Malone creations, but they always have more sophistication. I feel like they're more chic, more cologne-y, classic. And I will be reviewing these in order of me having tested them. And the first one that I gave a try is White Flower Posy. This fragrance was originally released in the Zara Blossom collection, which came out in 2021. And this fragrance has notes of green mandarin, mandarin orange, jasmine, neroli, amber, and musk. Gave it a sniff because I see white flower, and of course, if you know me or my channel, you know that I love my florals and especially my white florals. So I was very excited to try this one. Gave it a sniff and I found it to be very, my first impression was this is very clean, powdery green. If you think white floral, you might think of like the typical designer fragrances such as L'Interdit, Libre, Alien. It's not like that. It's nothing like those types of white florals. This does not have sweetness in the base, or if it does, it's hardly there, but it really, there's pretty much no sweetness. It's very crisp. It's very elegant, clean, and classic smelling. The first image that popped up in my head when I gave it a sniff was actually like a wedding. And you have this beautifully decorated white wedding table with the white tablecloth and some white flowers, and maybe it's in open air or at least in a room with a lot of windows. Very, very classic, chic, and elegant, let's say. Those are terms that I would use to describe this fragrance. So it is a floral, but it's definitely more green floral. I thought it had a little bit of powderiness in it. It's a little bit powdery floral. It's a little bit musky even. There are some citruses in here, but don't focus too much on the mandarin orange note, because I feel like mandarin orange is usually a little bit sweet, whereas this fragrance does not smell like a juicy mandarin orange. It's really more the neroli that I'm smelling, and then some green notes and some very soft powderiness in there as well. Now, after I've tried this, I went on Fragrantica to I'm always so curious to see what other people think of the fragrance, and I saw that it was being compared to Tendre Jasmin by Yves Rocher, which I happen to own. Now, this one has been discontinued for quite a long time. I own this one only because I think I even got it as a gift. But this was years, I mean years before I actually was into fragrances. I probably wore some sort of fragrance during my adult life at any given point, but I wasn't really thinking about what I was wearing. You know, I was gifted a fragrance. That would be the fragrance that I was wearing months on end or until I finished the bottle. So anyway, that is why I have Tendre Jasmin. Now, I did wear this, as you can see. I don't wear it anymore because it's discontinued, and I don't know why, but I think it's just a bit of a shame to use up the last of the juice. But yeah, it's pretty much just in my closet right now. Anyway, I think there's a similarity, but I don't think, I mean, if you're watching this and you're like, oh great, you know, there's a new dupe for my Tendre Jasmin that I'm missing since it was discontinued, then I don't think you're gonna be very pleased with it, because I don't think White Flower Posy is a dupe for it. I mean, there's a similarity, yes, but I think Tendre Jasmin is a lot more jasmine-y, whereas White Flower Posy is, in my opinion, more neroli. By the way, if you are looking for a dupe for Tendre Jasmin by Yves Rocher, I would highly recommend trying Glam Jasmine by Michael Kors, which has also discontinued, but it has only been discontinued for a few months. So I think on some secondhand websites you can still find people offering them offering that fragrance pretty regularly, but you have to be quick. So if you're missing out on Tendre Jasmin, try Glam Jasmine. But anyway, back to White Flower Posy. Now, what I thought this really smelled like, and I still do, is actually Waterlily Tea Dress, which I also own, which has also been created by Jo Malone for Zara. They still have this one. Now it comes in the same bottle as these. I still have the old bottle that it was released in the first time. And even though Waterlily Tea Dress smells even more green than White Flower Posy, I do really think they smell pretty similar. So I don't think if you have one that you necessarily need the other, unless you love the DNA so much that you want different varieties of the same DNA. I would actually say that these could be flankers of one another. They definitely have a similar body, let's say, and this one is just a little bit greener, also a little bit stronger, and this one is a little bit more powdery, citrusy, musky, let's say. I think this fragrance is okay. I'm not really loving it that much. I think it's a nice fragrance. If you're just looking for something that makes you smell clean, crisp, and elegant, like I said, like for a wedding or just a garden party or some sort of formal occasion, let's say, then yeah, it's perfect. It's a perfectly well-made fragrance. I'm just not blown away by it. I think I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10. It's nice, but yeah, since I already have Waterlily Tea Dress, I don't need it in my collection, but it's still a very nice fragrance. Also, personally, I think it's a little bit more feminine than masculine. That's just my opinion. But yeah, those are my thoughts on White Flower Posy. By the way, I already have a new review on the waiting list, let's say. One of my subscribers, or maybe it was just a viewer, I don't know, but somebody mentioned in my previous video that Mango came out with a new fragrance collection. It looked very interesting, so I did order them and I will be reviewing that collection as well. So if you want to watch that video, I'm probably going to do it in 2 parts, by the way. So there are 6 fragrances and I'm probably going to do 2 videos of 3 fragrance reviews each. So if you want to watch that, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and it will be up in maybe a week and a half, not sure yet. I'm very busy lately, but yeah, it is coming up, so stay tuned. Now the next fragrance I tried was Rose Petal Drops. This fragrance was first released in 2021 in the Zara Emotions Rain collection, and it has notes of pink pepper, blackcurrant, Turkish rose, lychee or lychee, however you want to pronounce it, amber, vanilla, and patchouli. I already had the candle, so I kind of already knew what it was gonna smell like, but I do think the fragrance smells, I mean the fragrance in the bottle smells a little bit different than the candle, and in a good way. So they're definitely the same scent, but the candle was almost a bit too synthetic for me, whereas I don't feel that way with the actual fragrance. Now, what does it smell like? As the name suggests, it is really a very rose prominent fragrance. I don't even smell that many different things besides the rose. It is very rose fragranced. So I can already tell you, if you love rose and you love a rose centered fragrance, then you would definitely, well, then there's a high chance of you loving this fragrance. And in the same way, if you don't like rose, if that's not your thing, you probably won't like it, because it's such a strong rose fragrance. It's not bold. It's not like an evening bold rose. It's not like a strong rose and vanilla like Rose Gourmand or Intense Cafe. It's not like that. It has a vanilla note. There is a little bit of it in the base, but it's not like a rose and something else fragrance. It's just rose. And to me, the image that popped up in my head, and I know it's not the first time that I'm saying this, but the image that I saw was sort of like someone's classic bathroom, all white, very classy decorated, but not very modern. And then there's a bar of soap on the sink, let's say, and the soap is rose smelling. That's sort of what this smells like, and I felt like I've smelled something similar before in Zara fragrances, and that was actually their rose collection, which I also reviewed. If you want to watch that, it's up on my channel. I will put the link in the description below, but there was one of those 4 rose fragrances that I feel this is pretty similar to. I'm not saying they smell the same, but it's, if you like that one, because it's been discontinued, then this could be interesting for you. And that was C'est la Rose. So I also thought that one smelled like a classic, just very classic rose smelling. And I thought that one and this one as well smells like, if you know this product, it's called Beauty Fluid by Olay, or as we call it in Europe, Oil of Olaz. So if you ever used that product, I feel like this smells very similar. And before you ask, no, it does not smell like Delina. I feel like a lot of people, whenever there's a strong rose fragrance, people compare it to Delina. Like Delina was the first rose fragrance out there or something, which it really isn't. But it doesn't smell like that at all, except for the fact that they both have rose. But I think Delina has so much more going on. I mean, with the rhubarb and everything, it's definitely not the same as this one. I also saw on Fragrantica that people compared it to Fashionably London, also created by Jo Malone for Zara, which I also own. And also, no, they don't smell the same. I really think they're still pretty different. Obviously, both also rose centered, but Fashionably London is a lot stronger for one. And I think that one is, I don't remember exactly the notes in it, but it's just more bold, whereas this one is more of a clean beauty product type of rose scent. Again, for me personally, this is a feminine fragrance. I'm not saying men can't wear rose fragrances, but I feel like it's more like the rose and oud or woody type of rose fragrances that suit men as well, whereas this one just smells like beauty products or soapy products in a very feminine bathroom. So for me, this is feminine leaning. The performance was decent. I do think it's a very decent performer. It's not beast. I mean, like I said, Fashionably London is a lot stronger. This one, I can smell wafts of it throughout the entire day if I wear this, whereas this one is a little bit more subtle, but it's still a decent performer. It's not bad. I know Jo Malone fragrances have a bad rep when it comes to performance, but the Jo Malone fragrances created for Zara are actually almost always very decent performers, just so you know. I am also gonna rate this one a 7 out of 10. I've never been a lover of strong rose fragrances. I like rose, but it's not my favorite note. I think it's nice, but again, if you love rose fragrances, do check it out and let me know what you think. And that was Rose Petal Drops. The next fragrance I tried is Salty Ocean Bouquet. And this one was first released in the Ocean collection created by Jo Malone in 2022. It has notes of black pepper, bergamot, sea notes, orange blossom, sea salt, and woodsy notes. And I don't know where I was at exactly, because I think 2022 was the year that I was really getting into fragrance. My passion started to emerge, and I did start off with mostly Zara fragrances. But I have seemed to miss out on this one, so I love that they are re-releasing older fragrances now. Thank you, Zara, and keep doing that, because a lot of us missed the first releases. But anyway, gave this one a spray, and the first thing that I noticed very strongly for me personally, because I know this is a bit of a sensitive subject sometimes, but to me this smells very masculine. I just thought of a guy when I smelled it. The first thing in my head, like, oh yeah, I'm smelling a guy. And even though it's called Ocean Bouquet, which sounds very aquatic, ozonic, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't really think it's that marine aquatic like. I think it's a lot more peppery, spicy than it is aquatic. Definitely getting the pepper. It's very strong, and I do think it's nice, but I have to be honest, for me personally, it's a little too peppery. My husband actually gave this one a wear. I really wanted to see how he felt about it and how I felt about it when he was wearing it. And even though every time that I smelled a waft coming from him while wearing this, I thought, it smells nice, but I would have preferred it to be less peppery. So if you're like me and pepper can be too strong, then you might have the same experience. But if you do like a very peppery, spicy fragrance, then definitely give this one a try. It is salty, there's no denying that. But the real like sea notes or orange blossom, I'm not really getting those. Actually, the next fragrance I will be talking about, Amber and Fig Cashmere, I thought that one was more aquatic than this one. Just to let you know, if you're looking for a fresh aquatic fragrance, personally, I don't really think this is it, but that's just my opinion. I saw a Fragrantica that a lot of people do think it smells very marine-like, so it could just be me. I'm mostly getting the pepper. I also saw a Fragrantica that it was being compared to Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Jo Malone. Now, I don't know if the perfumer Jo Malone actually created that one, but it's from the actual Jo Malone brand that is no longer owned by the person Jo Malone. Anyway, I don't think there's a similarity at all. I think Wood Sage and Sea Salt is a very fresh, aquatic, super fresh and clean, perfectly unisex type of fragrance, very airy as well. Whereas this one, like I said, mostly peppery, spicy, even a little bit woody, salty. I don't think the two are to be compared. So if you were hoping for a dupe of wood sage and sea salt, which I'm still waiting on because I really want it, but the performance of the Jo Malone one is terrible. So if you know a good dupe for wood sage and sea salt that actually lasts, let me know. But yeah, this one definitely isn't it. I think it's a really well-made fragrance. Definitely, you can't deny that it's really created by somebody who knows fragrance. It doesn't smell cheap or flat or whatever, but because it's so peppery, it's not really my thing. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10, but I can definitely imagine that maybe men in general are gonna prefer this one over the other ones because it's so masculine, and so I'm still very impressed with it. And yeah, that was Salty Ocean Bouquet. And then the last fragrance I gave a sniff was Amber and Fig Cashmere. By the way, if you're still here and you're still watching and you're enjoying the video, or it's somewhat helpful, you would really help me out by giving it a thumbs up. That really supports my channel, and I'm trying to actively grow my channel, so if you would do that, that would be great. But back to the fragrance. So Amber and Fig Cashmere has notes of orange, pink pepper, fig tree, white woods, ambroxan, ambergris, and patchouli. And this one was also first released in the Emotions Rain collection created by Jo Malone for Zara. So I gave this one a spritz, and like the previous fragrance we just talked about, I thought this one had some masculinity. However, I feel like this is more unisex than Salty Ocean Bouquet. For me, Salty Ocean Bouquet was pretty masculine, really. Not really that unisex, more masculine. Whereas Amber and Fig Cashmere, for me, is unisex, maybe a little masculine leaning, but I can still imagine a woman wearing this. And like I already said, I think it's fresher, more aquatic somehow than Ocean Salty Air. Even though this is an amber and woody type of fragrance. I did immediately get some sharpness when I tried it. So I know that sounds negative, but it's actually a very pleasant sharpness that I got. I thought it was super crisp and it smells expensive and chic. But I also thought that even though I just said it smells unisex and all that, I kind of feel like this fragrance for me is better as a home fragrance. Because I was thinking this is sort of the scent that I would really love my home office to smell like. Or if I had some sort of a store, like a furniture store, or I don't know, I just own a store, then this would really be a super nice scent to have that store smell like. So it smells very sophisticated and chic to me, but it doesn't really smell human. I mean, you can still just wear it as a human, obviously, but yeah, that's just the vibe that I got. Now, if you were hoping for a sweet, juicy fig fragrance, I personally don't think this is it. There is a figness in here, yes, but it's not the typical fig fruitiness, the sweetness that fig has. I mean, the note listed is fig tree, so that is definitely different than the actual fruit, but it is a very fresh and green, dry, cologne-y, like a typical cologne-y type of scent. Very, very nice, but I would not see myself wearing this. Also because I think it's a little too masculine and also too like home fragrance like I just said, but there is something very addictive about it because I had sprayed it on my arm like I did with all of these fragrances, and I did notice that I was constantly sniffing my arm just to smell it again. So I don't want to necessarily smell like it, but there was something in this fragrance that made me want to smell the fragrance, if you know what I mean. So it's super, super nice. I think if Zara came out with a diffuser of this fragrance or a scented candle, which they probably already have in the past, but maybe they're gonna do that now again, I'm sort of hoping. Then that one is perfect for me because I do really like the fragrance. So again, it smells unisex, very fresh, very clean, almost aquatic. The woodiness in here is not like a dark, strong woodiness, which I personally don't really like. I think it's still very light. There's no sweetness in this fragrance. There isn't any hardly any sweetness in any of these fragrances. It smells cologne-y, it smells chic. All of them have sort of a maturity about them. So I think if you're like me and you're a little bit older, I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm not 21 anymore. I think there's a certain age group that is going to appreciate these fragrances more than young 20-something-year-olds. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I feel like this is more for the more classic, sophisticated type of crowd. All of these fragrances in this collection. I'm gonna rate this fragrance an 8 out of 10 because it's so addictive to me. And if I had it as a home, I mean, actually I can just keep it as a home fragrance and just spray the curtains or something. That is actually an idea. Again, performance was pretty great. I think all of these have the same performance, actually. Decent, strong, actually, even, especially Salty Ocean Bouquet. I could really smell for a long time when my boyfriend wore it. Well, husband, boyfriend. Technically, he's still my boyfriend. We're not married, but I always call him my husband. But yeah, that one I believe is the strongest one. And all of them, there are no weak ones in this collection. So that's a really good thing as well. I'm kind of hoping Zara is gonna re-release more of these older Jo Malone collaborations because there are more. I know there are, so hopefully they're gonna do that. I was super curious to test these ones out, and in general, I think it's a very well-made collection, even though they don't really smell like designery, sweeter, human fragrances. They smell very typical Jo Malone, like home fragrance, clean, crisp. Yeah, if that's your vibe, definitely try them out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are on these fragrances. And again, I am planning on making a mango fragrance review video, so feel free to subscribe if you want to watch that. And I also have a lot of other Zara fragrance reviews on my channel already. Feel free to check those out as well. But that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for the next one. Bye!